So my name is Clever McCory, and I am the Partner Relationship Manager at ByteSpeed. We're joined here by John Bratcher from the Cradlepoint Ericsson team, as well as Blake Torfin, who is our Ericsson Cradlepoint specialist here at ByteSpeed. If you're maybe not as aware of our history, I'll just kind of rehash it really quick. ByteSpeed's been in business since 1999, custom building desktop servers and laptops. So those desktops come with a 5-year warranty, lifetime tech support. Same for our servers and esports equipment. So then over the years, working with a variety of folks, cities, businesses, school districts, we've been attentive to their needs beyond just end user devices and servers, and have expanded our services to include networking equipment, storage equipment, you name it, and the list goes on and on. And so one of our most successful partnerships is with Cradlepoint, whether it's in school bus Wi-Fi, portable router solutions, in-vehicle Wi-Fi for police vehicles. We've had a great relationship with them and have been able to help a variety of folks. And so we're excited today to have John with us. He's a account manager with Cradlepoint. He'll be able to share more about his experience. But we want to keep the discussion today open-ended. Feel free to ask any questions, or you don't have to wait until the end. Just raise your hand. I'll be manning the chat here. So, John, we'll have you introduce yourself, and we'll kick the show on the road.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, Clever. Yeah, my name is John Bratcher. I'm a government account manager, and so I support agencies within Texas and then also New Mexico. And so really excited for this conversation we've had a great partnership with ByteSpeed and look forward to, there's a lot of things that are happening. I know many customers know us as Cradlepoint, but we've been acquired by Ericsson. And so there's a lot of synergy going on there about different capabilities that we can do now that we haven't been able to do in the past. So we're really excited for what the future has to hold.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, so we'd like to, for the majority of our discussion today, just speak to the Cradlepoint solution set, just so you all have a great understanding of the different Cradlepoint options. And I know you might have varying familiarities with the brand. Some of you might already have some Cradlepoints deployed. I call it Cradlepoint a lot, but it's really
Right.
Ericsson now. They don't want to hear the name Cradlepoint.
Yes.
But so maybe, John, we could start with just a broader solution
Yeah.
overhaul or set, and then we can get into talking about portable routers, which here at ByteSpeed we help folks with a lot, and we think they could be useful to a lot of settings. So we'll talk more about that. But first, give us an overview of just the Ericsson. I got it right that time. Ericsson solution set.
Yeah. No problem. And I'm going to give you this overview. Hopefully, I'm a talker, but hopefully we can get this done in maybe 5 to 6 minutes. My mom always told me, trim the fat in your conversations, right? Get to the meat of the conversation. So at Ericsson, we do a wide host of solutions. So we're really known. Cradlepoint in particular is known for their mobility platform, right, with public safety. So police, fire, EMS, and then mass transit is probably about 60 or 70% of our business in the public sector space. But we also work with branch applications for failover, for redundancy, for locations, or primary in most cases with some of the advancements that we're seeing in cellular. And then we also have IoT solutions, and then we have a host of that with private cellular networking. And that's been something that's been encompassed in the Ericsson platform. So we're doing private cellular networking where we can do a private network core-to-core managed in NetCloud Manager. And then we also have neutral hosts. And I'll elaborate in, 20 seconds on neutral hosts. And what it does is what it allows you to do is take all 3 carriers and put them in a singular location, right? And so when you think about areas that have coverage challenges, that have network challenges, you can build out a neutral host network, which is about 50% the cost of a DAS solution. So which is a distributed antenna system. So that's really a summation of kind of our platform, but it's all managed in NetCloud Manager with a high level of customer support. And so that's why we're really renowned in the space as far as from a all-in-one shop. You get Cradlepoint services and support. It's all kind of bundled in one subset. So
That's great. Um, so John, talk to us about portable router solutions.
okay.
Where have you seen them being deployed? What unique advantages do you have when you have a portable router solution versus a fixed wireless solution? Where have you seen it making sense?
Yep, absolutely. And so portable router solutions are really emerging. We're seeing them deployed for emergency management or disaster response. For hurricanes, or if you have outages or things of that nature. If you're at a school, have power outages. Some of the advantages is really the portability of it, right? So, and the mobility of the solution in itself. Because when you think of, if we go to some of our in-vehicle installations, that is that router in the vehicle and that capability is only going to reach, around 250 square feet bubble. Wi-Fi bubble is like a traditional access point. So when you have a portable router, it kind of helps you expand your capabilities. Wherever you go, you have connectivity, and you can expand that connectivity and build off of that. And with our routers are really built to enhance cellular coverage and provide enhanced cellular connectivity. And so our portable routers can support, up to 100 users. You can also, we're seeing them used in like for events. Let's just say you had a fair, and you're taking, transactions and things of that nature. We're seeing portable routers used in that aspect. A large a large space have been used in elections for election security. And so some of the other capabilities that we have in our in Cradlepoints is that we have some features called intrusion detection and prevention, which will let you know if you have a threat coming in, and where the IP address came from. It also is a full-fledged firewall, and so it has, that full functionality in the box. Is really allows our customers to really expand their capabilities and what they can do and their connectivity needs. So,
That's great.
yeah.
No, that's awesome. And so maybe let's have a conversation about different router types, and how you would think about which router you would deploy in what scenario. And I know it's always a moving landscape, right? As new products, I know Cradlepoint innovates like no man's business. But maybe you can say a couple things about the rate of innovation that you're seeing with new router solutions, and how each differ from each other.
Okay. So for that conversation, I'm going to talk from a carrier perspective. And so I had, before Cradlepoint Ericsson, I worked with T-Mobile for 5 years, on the technology span. And so we are at the intersection of technology where 5G is where we're really starting to see the capabilities of 5G go to another level. So historically, cellular connectivity has been run on a 3G, 4G, and a 4G core, meaning that there is an anchor band for 4G, even if you had 5G. So you were getting 5G like connectivity. Well, now 5G has gone into what's called its standalone services. So 5G is anchored by its own 5G core. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to get better performance and latency, almost real-time connectivity. You'll get better downloads, uploads, and almost simultaneous data transmission. And so like as I mentioned before, our technology was built to enhance cellular connectivity. So we're seeing some agencies test gigabit speeds connectivity in places where they didn't even get, DSL connectivity, right? And so the advancement of what is happening on the cellular side is only going into the OEM and the manufacturer side. And so we have some routers that can support this capability. And so when we talk about connectivity or our portfolio, it's really about kind of advancing technology. And so I'll kind of go into some of our router subsets that we see a lot of times deployed in these portable kits, which is also deployed in our in vehicle. So we have the IBR 1700, which is our beefier router, and all of our routers support dual carrier, so you can run two carriers on them, not simultaneously. There's additional hardware needed to run simultaneous connection, but they both all of our routers support dual carrier. So the 1700 has 4 Ethernet ports. It's a 4G 5G router, meaning it's based off of 4G but can be enhanced to 5G. Great connectivity, as I mentioned, you can support up to 100 users. Where we're going from a technology standpoint is probably going to be the R980 and the 1900, right? From a recommendation. The R980 is going to be the first router that can support standalone services, and it's also going to be eSIM capable. And then the R1900 is kind of has been our bell cow for the last 3 or 4 years, but its performance mechanism, and then it's the only router in our platform that can support dual carrier connectivity today. So meaning that you can run a simultaneous connection with 2 different carriers. We're also seeing a lot of agencies integrate Starlink connection, which you can do with all 3 of the routers that I just discussed, right? So you can run a cellular as your primary and then Starlink into one of the LAN interfaces and have that connection going as well for redundancy and resiliency. One of the capabilities I didn't talk about is some of our SD-WAN capability. And so with the Cradlepoints, we also have functionality for SD-WAN for flow duplication, where we can take the 2 WAN interfaces and duplicate the connection from on both sides, and whichever one reaches first, we can add resiliency on the back end, right, to make sure your uptime, and then you can also bond the connection as well. So I don't know if if we lost Clever. Might have put you out on that one.
No,
Yeah,
that's all good. It's
yeah,
a
yeah,
brief lapse in connection here, but that's
yeah,
great. No, and thank you for going through the different router options and to kind of giving feedback on each one and why, why you would pick one versus the other and what the recommendation is and how they differ from each other. Um, so now I know NetCloud is a big, it makes life easy as far as managing all these devices out
yeah.
in the field. Are there any differences between managing fixed router options through NetCloud or portable router options through NetCloud?
So portable routers have GPS. You can do breadcrumbing, see locations, services. You can see it on a fixed router as well, but you can do geofencing on portable routers as well, or anything within our more mobility platform. So you can see if a router's on the move, if it's left an area. NetCloud is very feature rich. Um, oh, sorry. NetCloud is very feature rich and has so many different capabilities. And one of the benefits of NetCloud is that it's all managed under one pane of glass. It doesn't matter if you have IoT, if you have a fixed router, or if you have a mobile router, you'll be able to see it all in NetCloud. You don't have to worry about kind of different interfaces. I would compare it to Samsung or Apple OS platform, right? Doesn't matter what device you have, you'll be able to see and understand how to use them. If you know how to use one device, you know how to use all of them and manage all of them. So
That's great. Now, we talked a little bit about some of the software solutions that Cradlepoint has. Maybe we could dive a little bit into that portion as well. Um,
you saying software and specifically?
yep. Yeah.
So
So I was thinking more like around security.
okay,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, no problem. And so we used to have a solution. We acquired a company called Ericsson, which did web isolation. And so what they would do is, well, what would happen? We found out that 80% of attacks happen through 0-day attacks, right? For cybersecurity. And when we acquired this company called Ericsson, they did web isolation. So what they would do is they would spin up an isolated container away from your core network. So that way, if there was a threat, 0-day threat that got through, it didn't have any lateral access to your network, right? So for example, if somebody sent a malicious link, got through your firewall, somebody clicked on it, there's no lateral access for them to move, And so we've replaced that solution with advanced web security, which is folds right into the routers. And then we also have a solution called NCX, which is a VPN solution that's built off of zero trust principles. And so you can build an end-to-end VPN solution, very secure, that gives you capabilities. You know, I almost feel like one of my SEs should be on this call to talk in more depth to that. So I can only give such, a very brief high level over that solution. But outside of that, and then we have our private networking platform, right? And so there's multiple flavors on that, and I don't want to bore your audience about private networking, but it is an emerging field. And here's what we're seeing is that we're seeing agencies build out private networking where they have challenges, right? So it's not a replacement to Wi-Fi, but it's a complement to a Wi-Fi and cellular network. The challenge is between what private network does is they take the challenges that you have in cellular and in Wi-Fi and solve both of them, right? So sometimes in cellular you have challenges of coverage or congestion where you can't get good throughput. Well, private network solves that. And then on the Wi-Fi side, security and how far you can get a connection, right? Private cellular can get 5 to 10 times the range of an access point that a Wi-Fi AP can get. And so we're having very, very productive conversations with many agencies and rolling out private networks in various industries. So
That's great. And yeah, if anyone has a question here, while I go through the last few I have, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll be looking at that. So one question I had is about filtering options. Maybe could you speak to how NetCloud gives you the ability to filter? What's different between the different advanced and core features of NetCloud? And then a secondary question I have after that is kind of going back to portable routers. How ruggedized are they?
okay,
As far as like, folks may be dealing with different,
right.
weather conditions, etc. Or even just, resiliency from physical damage.
Yep.
So yeah, go ahead.
So I may answer your second question first. So from a rugged standpoint, so the routers can support up to 158 degrees, and then I believe negative 41. And so Cradlepoints are known for quality. Ericsson is known for quality and have less than a 1% fail rate, right? So outside of that, we also have what's called a limited life warranty. And so as long as you have a NetCloud license, if your router fails, we can do overnight RMA and get a replacement router in its place, right? But as I mentioned before, less than a 1% fail rate. And so we can support up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know, Fahrenheit or Celsius, but 158 degrees and then around negative 41. So, and then on the differences between, as you mentioned, there's two different subset of services. We have essentials and advanced. Differences between essentials and advanced is that advanced is going to give you some of those filtering capabilities. Simple filtering, you can tie in some of that into the advanced platform. It also gives you um, enhanced cellular intelligence. So in your NetCloud Manager dashboard, it will let you know when you're changing from towers to towers, right? So if you go from a 3G tower to a 4G tower or a 4G tower to a 5G tower, it'll also let you know if you have interference coming in, right? So if there's a tree, let's just say you were getting millimeter wave on your 5G connection, and then there's a big tree or big interference, or there's a big event that saturated your network and congestion happened, right? Instead of you kind of figuring out why did our network drop off at this point in time, you'll see these enhanced functionality through NetCloud that'll give you the day-to-day, in live view. You can see what's happening to your network. And then also I had talked about the intrusion detection, IDS and IPS services. Those are also included on the advanced platform of our mobility solution. So you could also remote into the devices and run ping tests, and there's a bunch of um, other capabilities that I probably haven't highlighted that my engineers could do in a much more illustrious way. But yeah, man, that is the summation of kind of some of the portfolio and the subset of the capabilities. And just to reiterate on the mobility platform, it's or the portable routers, it's not a if, more of a when, because there's so many different industries that could use a portable router. If you're doing drone deployments, as I had mentioned to you before, Clever, that we've had agencies use their portable routers for search and rescue missions using drones. As I had mentioned about the elections being a big agency, but just on your day to day, right? If you're a school district and you have a power outage and your RFID badges go out, or you can't scan lunches, you can create a Wi-Fi network anywhere. That is the true capabilities of having a portable solution. It allows you to create a Wi-Fi network, and not from traditional like a hotspot Wi-Fi network, but a true robust network on the Cradlepoint that has antennas and things of that nature built into it. So
That's awesome. And I know, John, you spend a lot of your time dealing with more so government, public entities.
yeah.
But I know, portable routers are something that, any kind of organization can make use of. Maybe could you speak to some deployments you've seen, heard of, just across a variety of industries? We've already kind of name dropped a few, but I just wanted to make that case that, this has broader application than just students in a bus, for example.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, so we work with Montgomery County for their elections. They rolled them out. Dallas elections rolled out routers. I've worked for various cities. So City of Rio Rancho, Eddy County rolled these out, and these are being used at when they have their park events. Instead of vendors getting on the city's core network, they roll out these quick deployables that are cellular based, right? And that way they don't have to worry about any kind of risk associated with anything. These devices have also been rolled out in on the enterprise level. If you go into every Walmart, there's like a rug doctor and all these different sub companies within the Walmart. Well, they have to have their own separate Wi-Fi network. They can't have Walmart's network because they're a security risk to Walmart, right, with their customers. So they roll out these solutions, these deployable solutions, to also, help and take transactions and things of that nature. So, like I said, and we're seeing them rolled out everywhere. So, and their emergency management agencies love these. You'll see many agencies that you talk to have, a kit or two that they deploy for, if they have any emergency that comes up, or if you have a large vehicle and you're doing some covert missions, things of that nature. We've also seen these routers being deployed. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Uh, I know I kind of brought this to your attention, John, but ByteSpeed has current stock of these portable routers, and we are actually running a promotion on them. I've never seen them as affordable as they are at this moment, but if any of you guys are interested, I will be following up our conversation here with an email and a recording of this conversation in case there's someone in your organization you want to check it out. But yeah, feel free to let me know if you're interested in pricing. I'd say, John, usually you see even better discounting at about quantity 5 and beyond, right? But I'd still say if you're looking at fewer ones, it still is a really good time to be thinking about these portable router solutions. As I mentioned, we have a current promotion on those. But yeah, as we kind of tie up the conversation here, we're approaching the 30-minute mark. any last minute pointers? I know, John, one of the things about Cradlepoint doing such a good job with in-vehicle Wi-Fi, it's easy for most folks to forget, what else Cradlepoint can do. But thanks for kind of outlining the broader solution set here that, Cradlepoint Ericsson brings to the table.
Yeah.
Any parting words of wisdom? That's like
No,
pure wisdom, right?
yeah, I would say that, our we build our network for lean IT, right? So if you're a one-man shop managing, 10 PD or fire vehicles, or if you have 5,000. And so one of the things I didn't highlight in NetCloud Manager is that it has the capabilities to do a golden configuration where you do one configuration and then it pushes that down as you add more devices. So if your deployment is the same across your large spectrum, you can have one golden config, and every time you add it, you put a router in the box, it inherits everything that it's supposed to have. It's Wi-Fi, SSID, passwords, things of that nature. If you're deploying in groups, but you have your baseline, which is your baseline config, and then there's minimal changes, you can also do that in NetCloud Manager, where you can configure your router. It'll take 80% of the configuration, and then the individual config will override it. So it's just, a lot of times in the industry, when I talk to customers, they say, hey, Cradlepoint is the easy button, easy to manage, support is great. And then we have real people that we can talk to and interact with and have conversations with about things that we're looking to solve, and talk about future technology needs. So
All right. Well, thank you, John, for the conversation today and for your incredible insights. So unless there's any parting questions from the audience, I think we've reached the end of our discussion for today. But thank you again for your time and your insights, John. So have a good rest of your day.
all right, thank you all.
All right. Appreciate it.